There's a bunch of garbage I need to get out of the way. 1 second. So much crap I gotta move. Ooh. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Am I loud and clear? Are we good? Is this it? We good to go? Tell me if you hear me loud and clear. Okay. Alright, well, welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, I'm using, my old microphone again. I'm gonna play a little bit of Bomberman Hero. But, you can see the little bar on the top of the screen. That's, that money is going towards the Oni Play setup. We, need to get some new equipment going for it, which is also going to go towards streaming, so it all works out. It's very, very hot out. My subwoofer is going nuts. Okay, well, you can turn the stream off if that's the case. I'm sorry. That's about the most I can do. You gonna move the recording? No, we're not. I mean, we're not using the Gang Grumps office anymore. That's been known for a little bit now. But, also, people who are mentioning the partnership, it did go through. I'm currently just waiting on them to, finally open up the features for me to take advantage of. Just because it's 4 AM doesn't mean it's not hot. It's California. Anyways, we're gonna play a little bit of Bomberman Hero. Why aren't you at the Gang Grumps office anymore? Because we want to be able to record whenever we want, as opposed to being conformed to a schedule for it. It's easier for them, easier for us. So here's the story. There's a bunch of planets. That one's the white one because it's snowy. And then there's the bad man planet, and he shoots out the 4 world gems and they make the planets go kaboom. That one's a star, but it's also got planets on it. And these two gotta get out of there. Something. It's Star Wars. R2-D2 says a big funny, and then it turns out he's a bad guy at the end of the game. There's a Evangelion going by. Oh no. It shot the beam. And the frame rate took a hit. I'm kind of wondering what the development cycle on this game is, because in a lot of ways it feels kind of rushed, and other ways it feels like they put some time into it. And there it is. This is the first level, and there goes Bomberman. Gotta go to the battle room. Here he is. The new thing about this game is that Bomberman can jump. Look at that, you can move the camera, barely. I don't exactly know why you'd want to, but you can do it. Also, C down puts a bomb down. I guess. So, yeah, there's that. Bomberman does have a pretty good jump in this. He jumps very, very high. Look at that. Look at him go. But yeah, we did take a trip to Arizona for a little while, me and Julian, and it was actually a pretty good trip. It was kind of relaxing. Arizona is actually really pretty. The deserts look really nice. Going out at night, if you just go in the middle of the desert, you can get a very clear look at the stars. It's nice. It's a nice place. It's incredibly hot, but it is a nice place. Oh, screw that up. There you go. Good job, Bomberman. You did it. That is the thing that Bomberman can do. I'll say it only one more time during the stream, but yeah, I did get partnered by Twitch. I'm just waiting for them to. It's actually it's crazy to me how much you have to do for the process. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. I've been waiting for a few days, so it's just until it gets finished up and goes through. I wonder if there's something over here. Nope. There's invisible walls. Here's a cutscene. There's my twin. I ripped his head off and put him on a box. Bomberman talks in this game too. He said okay. And there he goes. No, people can use ad block on the stream right now. I don't care. Like I said, it hasn't gone through all the way yet. I'm partnered, but it's not a thing still for like a week or two. Because I need to wait for them to approve a bunch of things with it. Whoops. That was stupid of me. It's actually surprising to me, but a lot of people prefer this one to 64. Because this was it's a fun game. Hero is a lot of fun. This song in specific is a really good one, although this is kind of the only song people remember from this game. There's a handful of really good songs in this game, but people seem to only remember this one. But I like 64 and I like Hero. I like both of them a lot. I think they're both really fun games. And if you want to go for everything in the game, if you want 100% per level, you're going to have to find absolutely everything. So you're going to want to kill everything, you're going to want to collect everything. Oh, the trick-or-treat stuff we're going to talk about more for people backing the Patreon. But the good news from it is, we actually might be able to do online play now. So, yeah, it's exciting. Because pretty much everything we wanted to do with it and we weren't going to be able to do because we were too scared to port it, we just realized that, hey, you know what? Porting it is just worth it because now we can do whatever we want with it. Oh, I wasn't close enough to this little guy. I was scared to port the code to something else just because we were rushing it so hard for this year that Julian would not have been happy if we would have to delay it again, but thanks to how Oniplay stuff went this year, we had to delay it anyways, so no harm in porting in something different now, so we can do whatever we really want with it. Console ports are possible. Online play is a thing we could do. Oh. Well, that just screwed me. I did not mean to do that. Well, time to end it all. Unless I can get back over there. I don't think I can. Pretty sure I can't. Unless this does something to go back. Oh, yeah, I can make it back. Let's go. But yeah. It's exciting for Trick or Treat. It's a simple game. It shouldn't have been work anyways. I didn't get all the points. I'm gonna have to do that again. Try that again. That means that there's probably some big secret I was missing. Oops. Listen, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I already, out the door when it got announced, I already was saying I was not really interested in it because it just looked like it was Marvel 3 slightly being changed up, and I didn't like 3. And a lot of people were telling me that was very unfair to say. That's going to be so much more than that. Then we saw it at E3. Guess what? Not only is it just Marvel 3 with the gameplay dumbed down even more, it's Marvel 3 with content stripped out of it. It's a lesser version of Marvel 3. They did it. They made it somehow as bad as possible. So what that tells me is, because I already thought it was weird they announced it to begin with. People didn't believe it because a lot of people were saying too, like, haha, told you, they're gonna do it, they're gonna make Marvel 3, haha, you were wrong. The reason people were doubting it is because Street Fighter V was made on a tight budget, like Sony had to fund it because Capcom was doing so poorly. So the fact that they grabbed the license from Marvel again is confusing, because it's like, why do they do that when they can't really, like, they don't have money? Why would Capcom do that? And there's your answer. They did it because it's a last minute move to try to make some money back. They don't have money, and this is not going to help them too much. Their hope was, hey, we'll get the property and we'll just recycle what we had before and rely on DLC to hopefully make back getting the license. And yeah, no thanks. I'm not interested in that. Looks really, really bad. And I'm sure that was the hope of simplifying it too, was, oh, we'll make more sales because we simplified it. It's a simple enough game. You didn't need to simplify it even more. But, yeah. It's funny that the Dragon Ball Z game gets announced alongside it, because... look at that. A 3-on-3 game that moves at ridiculous speeds. It's really over the top. It looks great. It looks like it has the depth and complexity that you'd want out of a fighting game too, because it's Arc System Works doing it. Yeah, huh. Good luck, Marvel 2. It's... Oh. How do you kick these again? I'm stupid. You know, good luck to them with their lousy game. Oops. I'm sucking. I am actually relatively tired, but I did want to get a scream in. I just got killed by a fucking chicken. Congratulations, me. Oh boy, I got killed by a chicken. Okay, time to wake up and pay attention instead of looking at the chat. It's true, they do have Monster Hunter, so there is always that. Do you want to hit him? Face reveal. I will make sure to add that into the word filter. Thank you for the reminder. Oh, I should not have done that. Yeah, I should not have done that. I should probably kill myself now, because I just screwed myself over. I don't think Capcom's gonna go under from this, but pretty sure they're gonna start backing off of fighting games because they do not know what they're doing with it anymore. And if it switches over to Arc System Works, if Arc Sys is the one doing fighting games from this point on, I am completely fine with that, because I always felt like Guilty Gear was trying to figure out ways to kind of evolve the genre, and they care, they are trying. I do hate how they grab for money a lot of the time with DLC and updates and everything. They're some of the worst about that. Color packs being ridiculously priced. I do hate that about them, but at the same time they do make really good games. So I can't complain too much. And who knows, maybe they'll actually lighten up with some of that if they start making a lot of money. I'm fine with them becoming the standard for fighting games. Oops. There we go. I don't even remember what else got revealed at E3. I know everyone's gonna keep bringing up the Nintendo stuff, but even then, I already knew about Odyssey, and I knew I wanted to play it. The stuff I saw still looks fun and everything. It's just not like new excitement anyway. It's like, yeah, I knew about this. I'm worried he's not gonna... Because as cool as some things in Odyssey look, I'm worried it's not gonna be able to control as openly as I'd like for it, with movement options. It seems like you'll be able to. It's just me being paranoid. And as much as people always want to tell me to, I'm cynical about things. Working with companies and witnessing things from the inside, I'm not necessarily being cynical, I'm being realistic. Going from experience on this sort of thing, I make assumptions like that for a reason. Being pleasantly surprised is always a good thing, though. Oh, hey! You can actually get a jump going just as you're coming off a platform. That's nice. Oops. That's stupid of me, though. Thoughts on Bethesda conference? You know, I'll bring this up. Why were people expecting anything from the Bethesda conference? Because it was the most anticipated one for some reason, and I don't actually get why it was. And people are gonna say, well, last year wasn't anything that special either. So, I'm a little bit confused on that one. And I know people are gonna go, well, Fallout. Yeah, like, stuff like that, sure, whatever. Everything I see from Bethesda is what that wasn't even last year, was it? I'm losing track of time at this point. What did Bethesda even do last year? Was that last year? Oh my lord. I've actually completely lost track of time. Fallout was 2 years ago at E3. What was last year's Bethesda? I don't even remember now. I'm thinking the 2015 one, where they showed Fallout and they showed Doom. Which, even then, that wasn't that interesting to me. The Doom one had me nervous more than anything, because they were insisting, like, oh, it's fast-paced, it's over the top. Then they show the gameplay and it's neither of those things. And the game came out and it was at least much faster than what they were showing off at E3, because they were actually slowing it down at E3. They were trying to play it really cautiously. And Doom was fun. It's nowhere near where I would have wanted it to be. I still think the decisions made with it were not exactly what you should be doing with a Doom game. They could have done more with it. Presentation should not necessarily be the priority in a Doom game. I'm sure Doom 3 makes everyone think that that's what it's all about, but the reason people would want to use Doom mods still in the original Doom engine as opposed to switching to Doom 4 is because, guess what? Being able to do mods where I can have 10,000 enemies in a room with no slowdown as opposed to a game where I'm limited to about 10 to 20 enemies in a room, yeah, okay, no, that's fine. I'll take the one that actually lets me have options. It's a no-brainer on that one. Doom was still okay, though. I had an okay time with it. The multiplayer sucked, though. The multiplayer in Doom was terrible. But it's because a different team did it. But Fallout was not that exciting of an announcement, and when it came out, no one's even talking about Fallout 4 anymore. No one really cares. It was kind of disappointing. It wasn't very good. I never really liked Fallout 3 that much to begin with anyways. I know people are pretty crazy about it, but I wasn't really that big into it. New Vegas I heard fixed on a lot, though, because they actually got people from the original team involved, which is kind of what they needed. But, Fallout 4 was very disappointing, so seeing it announced and everything, too, they didn't make it look very interesting, so I wasn't like going crazy 2015 with Bethesda. I don't know what they did at 2016, though. But yeah, for some reason, Bethesda was the most anticipated conference this year, and I actually don't understand why. I don't know what people were expecting. It's Bethesda. I'll say this, though. Bethesda not only had a bad conference this year, they had one of the most inexcusable things that they revealed, and everybody passed right over it and didn't care and ignored it. They complained about the fact that, like, oh, it's boring, they didn't really show anything. Excuse me, can we rewind a little bit? They announced paid mods. Bethesda announced paid mods, and everyone ignored that. Apparently that's okay because they disguised it behind, oh, you spend a Bethesda credits or whatever. Yeah, that makes it okay now. People need to be saying something about that. People should endlessly be saying something about that. Apparently that was such a big deal that Valve was doing it. You're gonna look past this now that Bethesda's doing it because they're using a credit system? That's terrible. Not only that, the bigger problem too is that they said that mods being developed by people who work for the company are going to go up, meaning essentially game patches. Patches are going to go up and you're going to have to pay money for them. That is a big deal. That is a problem. That is a very, very big deal. And some people are saying things about it, but it was not a huge backlash like it deserves. Websites just completely brushed it aside, too. A lot of websites just didn't even pay attention to that being announced as a thing. They're just like, oh yeah, very interesting. No, it's a big problem. That's happening, too, with GTA 5, when mods were not being used anymore. People were just looking past it, like, websites were reporting on it and just saying, like, oh yeah, the new single-player DLC's coming out. Yeah, nobody cares. They also patched the game to remove mods. It's back, finally, which is good, because there was so much backlash to that. As much as Take-Two was fighting it, they finally just went back on it, because it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, not a smart idea. Also, I gotta start this level over, because I didn't know. Oh, actually, no, maybe not. I think I do. I think I went into this little teleporter too soon. But, Jim Sterling, you know what? Stop. You can stop yourself already. Jim Sterling made a big stink about it. Yeah, Jim Sterling is not the reason that anything happened with GTA 5. It's because people who did content based on GTA mods were speaking up. People were furious. Everyone collectively got together to say something about it. It's not because of Jim Sterling. I'm glad that something happened with that, though. Yeah, see, I gotta do that one again. Jim Sterling would probably like to believe that he's the one that had influence on that when he didn't. Jim Sterling also thinks that everyone should completely boycott Nintendo because of the cease and desist stuff. That you should pirate all their games massively. He's not exactly bright. Because he's a hypocrite. I'm not gonna go into all that though. I don't wanna go above and beyond just shit talking someone like that. He's not the sharpest tool though. He is a tool. Sorry, this is a very bitter stream. Trying to think of what else came out of E3. People are really excited about the new Prime game, but Retro's not involved with it. I don't think I'm necessarily going to care just because of that. I am very cautious after hearing that. Spider-Man wasn't an exciting announcement, are you kidding me? That's why nobody even made a sound after the trailer for it ended. They thought that was like a big, proud thing they were going to end it on. By saying, look, Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Great, it's a new Spider-Man game and they're trying to make it like Arkham. Okay. Yeah, we didn't have enough Arkham games. Now we have a bootleg Arkham game. I remember reading that too. People on sites were saying like, well, I mean the combat in the other ones wasn't very good. So at least they're taking cues from a game that has good combat. Arkham has very simple combat. I at least like that in the Spider-Man games. Combat was typically pretty quick. It wasn't good, but it was quick, painless, and you could at least goof around with it too. You were open to pick up and throw enemies off like buildings and everything. From what they were showing of this new one, it doesn't seem like you get to exactly do too much. Looks like it's very scripted, QTE heavy, and only for a brief moment were they finally showing Spider-Man like running on buildings. And it looked like the webs were attaching to buildings, but I doubt that they're gonna get the physics for that right. Yeah, well, I mean, the point is, no one who worked on the Prime games are gonna be working on this new one. And I don't exactly trust Nintendo with this sort of thing. Especially considering how little love this franchise has been getting for the longest time too. Very, very skeptical. And the Metroid 2 thing, and on one end cool, on the other end, I don't know. AM2R came out and was fucking amazing. I don't see Nintendo really one-upping that. That's seriously, I would kill for I'd kill for a game to have more of what they did with that. It was really, really solid. So I don't really see Nintendo outdoing that one with their own project. Also, it's kind of like salt in the wound because, you know, there's the cease and desist on that, and then, hey, haha, hey guys, we got our own. It's like, yeah, you do, but I'd rather have this one, sorry. I think Dragon Ball Z really was like the only thing I got super excited about at E3 this year. Not much else. I think I just realized too that there's just not going to be much for me in this industry anymore anyways. So does this just shoot out? Does this do anything? It blew up. What about Battlefront 2? I like the original Battlefront 2. I don't really care that they're trying to capitalize on that franchise. You knew that this is why they're doing it too. You know they made Battlefront 1 just so they could make Battlefront 2, to call it Battlefront 2, so if anyone ever mentions Battlefront 2 now, everyone's going to get confused and think you're talking about the new one. If anyone's going to look up Star Wars Battlefront 2, they're going to get the new one. It was a very intentional decision. It does look much better than their first Battlefront like remake that they did, but I still would rather just play the original. Huh. I wonder what that gem's all about. It looks weird. It's interesting that you keep your health between stages in this. Although you lose your power-ups when you die too. Oh, you use it for the store. Okay, that makes sense. I'm a dummy. Get these out of here. Cuphead I really want to play. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous for it, but I really want to play it still. But after so many years, it's also hard to like keep insisting how much I want to play it. The fact that they're obligating decisions with it now, just based on various complaints that people who are bad at it were making, has me nervous. The reason it has actual levels now is because people who were testing it at E3 prior years and other things like PAX, you have like the polygon videos where they just keep dying in 2 seconds. Pressure from that and people are like, oh yeah, it's just a boss rush game, that's stupid. So it's like, oh no, we'll put levels in, sorry. It has me very nervous if obligated design decisions like that just to shut people up are gonna ruin it. I really hope not. I don't want to see something like that happen to it just because people were stupid. I'm sure it'll be fun though. They're doing more with the levels, thank God. When they first showed the levels, you could tell they just slapped them together to satisfy people. The latest trailer at E3 showed a lot more going on in levels, so good on them for putting a lot of effort into that. Almost didn't get that one. There's a lot of frame rate dips in this game. It probably would have helped if they tried to simplify Bomberman more. Made his model a little bit too complex in some areas for no real reason. So there's gotta be something I missed now. Over there. What are your thoughts on Nightmare Cops? I am really, really excited for it. I've known about it for a while, and since the beginning I've been very, very, very excited about it because it's exactly the kind of game I'd want to play, and they're doing amazing work with it. But at the same time, considering how the shape of the industry is going and everything, I'm sure it's going to come out and not get that much attention, even though it deserves so much. I'm still upset Owlboy didn't get that much attention. I know people are going to say too now, like, well, it wasn't very good. It was fine. Considering some of the stupid shit that people have been parading around the past couple of years, saying Owlboy of all things is a bad game because, oh, some of the dungeons Dragon aren't that fun. Yeah, okay. And tell me about how Night in the Woods is an incredible experience that really captivated you and sucked you in. Some of Life is Strange. Tell me how much of those really captivated you by comparison. It feels hypocritical to hear stuff like that. There's things about Owlboy that disappointed me for sure, and I was hoping they could take advantage of the gameplay more than they did, but I still had an alright time with it, and it's still a gorgeous game with a fantastic soundtrack, so I didn't really fall out with it at any point. But it didn't get any attention, and that was that. Just kind of fell off. Got completely ignored. Oh, that was it. That was all the secrets. Secret room. Heavy room. How do you get the heavy room? Oh, I gotta go through normal exit. Okay. Easy enough. Yeah, sorry, coming through. My friend says the atmosphere is depressing and haunting. Your friend probably also thinks Five Nights at Freddy's is very, very scary, and Bendy is the most epicest thing he's ever seen. There really just isn't much of a standard anymore. I have to go get the key card. Okay, I'll go get it. I watch Polygon for their gameplay, I rarely watch their reviews. Yeah, their gameplay of Doom was pretty solid, gotta say. There's so much frame drop in this game, because it's an N64 game. It's an N64 game and they did not optimize this very well. Bendy game's not even finished. Yeah, neither was Hello Neighbor, but they're fine for putting in an early access for $30. And it's a broken mess. It feels like they just used preset things from the Unity marketplace to put it together. Well, that was stupid of me. To put it together. Is that really my punishment? That's it? Takes off 1 firepower from me? Or was I already at 3? I wasn't even paying attention to that. Was there even a punishment for dying? Oh well, whatever. Lower your bass output. There's no way to do that, sorry. That's the microphone. If you can't handle that, you're gonna have to just leave, I'm sorry. I can't do anything about that. Oh. Get out of here, you. What mic are you using? A very, very bad one. I'm hoping we can get money towards new mics. You subscribe yet? No, it's probably gonna be another week or two. I wish it could be just like a day or two. Apparently there's like a lot that they because I was talking to Chris about this because he's partnered on Twitch. They've changed the process pretty heavily. So there's a lot that you need to actually do now for them to finalize partnering you. So it's going to be a little while still. Look at that, I can look in the other room. No, I hate that I'm in this position where I'm just complaining about everything too in terms of video games, but I did realize that when we were on the trip, when we were in the middle of nowhere, we went to the movie theater to see a bunch of movies back to back to back. We saw pretty much everything that's in theaters right now. So I kept an Underpants again too, because our one friend had not seen it. And still was fun the second time around. The stupid humor hurt even more the second time around. But some of the jokes still held up second time around. Julian was even saying that he thinks that the writing itself, like in terms of story, narrative, what the message is, he said it still holds up pretty well the second time around. It's more solid than it should be for just a stupid little kids movie. It's not anything amazing. It's a fun movie. Then we saw... I'm probably going lighter on it too, because it's a movie called Captain Underpants, and I remember the source material to begin with anyways, and they were trying to stay true to some of that, which is where the parts that aren't funny happen to come from. But it's also because I wasn't expecting much of it. Oh, Jesus Christ. I like that Bomberman bounces back when he takes damage in this. It's fun. It means you can get knocked off a cliff in a 3D platformer. It's not a thing you see very often. But can I make this jump? Oh, he has acceleration. Foolish me. But then we saw Wonder Woman, and it was okay. I am pretty sure... Can I just use that little thing? I probably can. Pretty sure superhero movies, just period, are not for me. And it's very funny to me how that movie was received, because of how it kind of goes against everything that people were saying it was doing. Saying that she's a very empowering, believable, likable character who has honor, respect, and she's just saying how she's so respectable and everything. How it could have been a horrible train wreck. This Wonder Woman movie. Everyone was so afraid to take on this property and portray this character without just making a mockery out of it. And you know how you do a good Wonder Woman movie? You know how you don't upset or offend anyone with a Wonder Woman movie? You barely involve Wonder Woman. That's how you do it. That's what's so weird about it, is that they spend a whole hour, feels like an hour, it's a long movie. Maybe it wasn't an hour, it could have been just 30-40 minutes at the beginning, but they spent a long time establishing... I guess there's got to be a different way to get up here. I'm turning my brain off while talking, sorry about that. But they spend a lot of time establishing her at the beginning, which, by the way, her characterization at the beginning is she wants to fight things. That's it. Wonder Woman wants to fight things, and Mom says, no, I don't want you to fight things. And then she gets her wish, she gets to go out and fight things. And then the rest of the movie is not about her anymore. It's about the war and this ragtag group of mercenaries who get together for a suicide mission. Oh, also Wonder Woman's there. Wonder Woman is perfect in every single way and is not in any danger at any point. So she's being very courageous by being a god. So something with that. It's okay. She comes out in action scenes, and I've actually never been bothered by that in a movie before until Wonder Woman, where you take a historical setting and apply like fantasy elements to it and just have fun with it. I've never been bothered by that kind of thing before until Wonder Woman, just because you have the moment where she breaks into the meeting room saying how, you know, with our kind, our leaders go out and fight, and here you cowards sit, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're very brave, Wonder Woman. Boy, if only someone was there during World War I and World War II, or, you know, just when we're on the verge of the Cold War and everything, if only someone was there to say, hey, we should just all go in and fight and throw away everything, have no tactical structure or anything, just call everyone a coward. Yeah, very brave. It was like, Jesus Christ, you're gonna really throw that in there, huh? It was very silly. The No Man's Land part was stupid, but it could have been much worse if they actually had her flat out say, "I'm no man." They probably had that in the original cut. Surprised with how heavy-handed they went with symbolism later on, how she's supposed to represent hope at the end. Like they need to weigh on that for like 2 minutes to let that slip into your mind that, hey, it's symbolic. Do you get this? The anime fight? Do you get it? Yeah, I knew I was missing points. Gotta do it again. The action sequences in that movie sucked. If you're gonna do the stupid slow motion shit, do it like once. They just did it the whole movie. Reminds me of Battlefield Earth. Just constantly tilting the camera because, oh, this looks cool, let's just do it the whole movie. That's what they were doing with Wonder Woman. They kept doing the slow motion thing. It looked bad every time. God forbid. They do it in the middle of sequences too. Like, she'll hit somebody, it's like, well, what if the audience can't keep up? Gotta slow it down again. So it'll slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up. It's like a little kid was editing it. It's just goofy. And not goofy in the fun way, really. It's goofy in the way that's like, wow, this movie is really a mess. And they want this to be taken seriously right now. This is not camp for fun. This is just bad. I don't think it was a bad movie overall, though. Because as much as I'm saying all this now, I don't think it was bad overall. I thought it was an okay movie. But it was an okay movie. There are just zero standards with superhero movies, I guess, because it had almost perfect scores on Rotten Tomatoes at one point, and I do not understand that because there was nothing that exceptional about it. I guess the amazing part is that it's a DC movie that wasn't horrible. A lot of the things about it, though, that made it not horrible, I could tell were just lifted from Marvel films. I got a very strong Marvel vibe a lot of the time when there was a little banter, chit-chat going. I don't even remember anyone's name. The spy, he's the main character, by the way, not Wonder Woman. He's the main character. He's also the one who makes a sacrifice. Wonder Woman doesn't actually do anything that noble. In fact, at the end when she's having anime fight with Super Saiyan 3 English Mustache Man, he has all of this going on in the back, and what he's doing is the interesting part. Wonder Woman is not the interesting part during all that. You could give less of a shit about her end. He's the one who's actually making a decision to sacrifice himself and everything. You're invested in the actual real-world struggle throughout that movie. I've heard from some people, though, I guess, that they've said, like, no, I cared about the superhero end. To which I would say, okay, you were interested in girl who want to fight, and then she get her wish to fight, and then she fight into slow motion. That's it. There's the superhero portion to the movie. Absolutely nothing. I hope you had fun with that. You just hate it. Well, I don't hate it. I thought it was an okay movie. But that's what I've noticed about it. What I've noticed about it is that it's half average, subpar war movie, half bad superhero movie. And because of that, it turns out as just an okay movie overall. The parts that didn't really work for me were all the superhero stuff. And the superhero stuff all feels very tacked on because here's an actual story going, and also here's Wonder Woman, I guess. We established her at the beginning, right? So I guess she's a part of this. You know, everyone else is actually like struggling and suffering and everything, and here she is to talk down to everyone saying, wow, you all have no heart. And I get it too. It's supposed to be like, oh, well, she's learning. She's trying to understand throughout the movie. That's her development. She doesn't really develop much throughout the movie anyways, though. There is no development. She just gets mad all the time and frustrated and confused, and then it all just leads up to a minute at the end where she says, no, bad guy, you're wrong. There you go. That's what was all set up for her. Satisfied? No? Okay. But that really is it. That's how you do it. That's how you do a Wonder Woman movie and don't bother people with how she's represented. You do nothing with her. You barely get her involved, and you only have her involved in moments that make her look strong and where she can talk down to others. That's it. Her on the boat with a spy guy was very necessary. I needed their... You know, it could have been just a quick little sequence there. You can deliver your funny and end it, but nope. They had to dwell on that for about 5 minutes. I did worse that time. I guess there's stuff at the beginning I need to go find in this level. But yeah, they had to dwell on their big funnies for a while. She has to say how the penis is worthless. Haha, it's funny, I guess. There was I heard a laugh in the theater during that. I heard more of a response of people. This is why I'm kind of bitter right now, by the way. I think I've just had the realization that I'm not going to really find what I want through these industries much anymore. The film industry is just a completely different beast at this point. Their priorities are skewed towards nothing I care for. I mean, you get to see the Despicable Me 3 trailer on every film. No matter what it is, you get to see it before it. Coupled in with the fact that because Illumination spends so little money making their films, because that's what they prioritize, they can afford now to pay every theater to just run constant ads for Despicable Me 3. They're just gonna get their money no matter what. Doesn't matter how bad the movie is, it's a freebie. They get money. They can pay everyone off, be everywhere, get to exist in... It's like something like Five Nights at Freddy's. Those games get shit out in 2 months because they take no effort to make. They're done in Fusion, for God's sake. They get to be shit out in 2 months, get to swim in a ton of money thanks to it. Merchandise sold like crazy because of who he went through, so you get to see it in every single store around America. It's just a never-ending money-making machine. That's kind of where things are at right now, because while people will say it's pessimism, it's being cynical if you speak out about this kind of thing or be negative when taking this sort of thing in. Well, here's why things are like this right now. When something is mediocre or subpar, everyone's okay to just accept it. And that's what you get. You get stuck with this. When we were in that theater, I got to hear an entire crowd of people say how they want to go see the Emoji Movie. People were laughing. People want to see that movie and give it money. And it's just an eye-opener. You just get to realize, you know what? We're here in Arizona, in the middle of nowhere. Here's the people who are just constantly giving the money for this sort of thing to exist. Here's why you have your Happy Madison. Here's why you have this garbage. Here's why you have Illumination. Here's why you have Sony doing this kind of stuff. At least Sony doesn't typically make their money back. Just make stupid decisions left and right. But still, film industry is not in the best position right now. It's not in a very good spot. And at least the game industry is completely opened up now, that anyone could put something out there. So good things can still exist within it. Good luck with movies at this point. You're gonna get 1 or 2 good films a year, and that's it. And garbage will still kind of reign supreme in terms of money making, so it gets to constantly thrive. Because people don't care, they want to go see a movie. That was a close one, I almost blew myself up. I forgot you can do that in this. But after all of that, even though like having just sort of the realization that this is kind of it at this point, I don't really feel bad anymore. I was at a point where I was kind of responding to everyone 24/7 about everything, wanting to be really open and have a discussion with everyone. And I've sort of realized it always does just boil down to people wanting to take a position as if they understand these things, as if they're experienced with it all, when you can firsthand be attached to something. You could be there since day one when something was being made and know everything about it, and you will still be talked down to as if you don't understand anything about it. Being in a position like that, I've seen plenty of that since we're doing Let's Plays. You get to talk to lots and oh, I forgot there's a little thing here, a little zappy floor. Talk to plenty of people who are like that because we do Let's Plays. It's just natural from the audience with it, but oh, you can kill these guys. Well, here's why I've screwed this one up. I'm a moron. Should have just done that from the start. You stupid idiot. I'll do that again. You're right, Snowball. Sony only makes great decisions. Just look how great Ghostbusters turned out for them. Or all their other attempts at having extended cinematic universes that didn't pan out because the movies weren't good or profitable for them because they sank so much into marketing. That's common knowledge at this point that Sony, in terms of their success, it's mostly only coming from games. Technology to a certain length, films are not doing the best for them. There's little things here and there that work out okay for them, but they have not been doing great. And their priority with film in specific, which is why they end up losing money on some of these gambles, is because they just want to make money. And that's why that was a weird one to me, was the Spider-Man trailer we saw when we were in the theater. Julian and I both groaned very, very loudly, and those leaked emails from a while back finally made sense, because when those emails got leaked, people thought like, oh, those are applying to those other new Spider-Man films, right? Well, I didn't see much of that in those films. It's a constant ongoing thing, and also these films have been... They don't just get developed in a year. Time goes into them. And those Sony leaked emails in specific about NBDs, no big deals, trying to pander as hard as possible to millennials to try to get money off of them and everything. Boy, oh boy, that new Spider-Man trailer. It was so epic that his friend even has the Casey Green sticker of the dog on his laptop. They know memes. They got it all. He's real epic. He's real cool. Peter Parker's always been a goofy character, but at the same time, never to the length that it should just feel embarrassing. You need to balance it. It's like how you end up with what they did with the new Dante in Devil May Cry, which, by the way, I still think Dante alone is already too much. I think he's too embarrassing for me to really put up with on his own. So new Dante is even more embarrassing to me. That's where it's painfully embarrassing, what they were trying to do with him. Hoping to make him likable and not knowing how to actually go about doing that. I think I'd say Bayonetta is a middle-of-the-road attempt at something like that. I'd say Jean from God Hand, I think, is one of my favorites in terms of a character like that who's just supposed to be likable because he's so goofy and having an attitude like that. And part of what makes that work is because just in general God Hand is a very goofy game. it's hard to work in a serious moment with a character who's always trying to be goofy, and that's also part of what I never really liked about Dante. But the reason I'm saying all that is because Peter Parker is already a tough thing to kind of work with, because he is supposed to be kind of a goofball who is a little wisecracker and everything, as in he's a cracker and he's wise, and also he cracks wise, like the funny jokes. But yeah, this new attempt that they're going for is just nothing but embarrassing, and I got to hear from plenty of people how I'm supposed to actually be excited for this, apparently, even though every other attempt they've had trying to do new Spider-Man films, it's never worked out. They've never done a good job with it. And somehow I'm supposed to think that the most embarrassing attempt yet is going to be a good thing. No, I'm not. I'm not interested. I'm sorry. It probably sounds really smarmy saying that too, but I saw the others, thought they were pretty lousy. This trailer in specific, while it's true, trailers are also just poorly edited together and don't typically reflect the movie itself. I think this one said more than enough. It's like the Ghostbusters trailer. People thought the Ghostbusters trailer, they were saying like, no, you gotta give it a chance. You can't just judge it based on the trailer. Guess what? The movie's even worse than the trailer, so no, it can tell you something about it. So, I don't know. And yeah, Sony's involved with this, which is why Sony's involved with it. The trailer looked embarrassing, those leaked emails exist, and they seem to be going towards this film in specific, not even the other attempts. This one in specific, it feels like those emails were what they're in relation to. It's not looking very good at all. So everyone's super excited for the Emoji Movie. All the theater in Arizona that I was in, everyone was very excited for it, so. As much as the game industry depresses me, I think movies are more depressing to me. Whoops, I missed that jump. Yes, absolutely, people are just people are just okay for, eating something up even if it's not good. It's why so many of these films sustain themselves and make so much money when they don't deserve it. It's why you have so many people also complaining online if you're even slightly negative about something, saying how you're a cynical asshole for it. You can say you don't like something, because when you only have people saying they like something, guess what? It's how you end up in a spot like this. When everyone is just walking on eggshells and trying to be nice about everything, it's how you end up in a spot like this. People will exploit you and take advantage of you. You need to actually be upfront about things. You need to actually be honest about things. You need to be honest with yourself. You shouldn't just swallow garbage 24/7. If all criticism disappears and everyone just praises everything, that's why you get stuck with this. That's why you have Happy Madison films somehow making so much money, because people endlessly go to see them. It's how Transformers movies are still making insane amounts of money, despite reviewing with a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. It can be annoying hearing people complain about stuff 24/7, it's true. But at the same time, especially now, there's a reason why people are complaining about things so frequently. There's a reason for it. It's not just unwarranted hate. Like I said, as disappointed as I am with the game industry, I feel horrible for anyone who's invested in cinema. Specifically, invested in it who is beyond the age of like 20. Because at least there was a window where you were getting pretty good films for a while. And for anyone who also wants to say like, oh, well, the 90s were a great time. No, they weren't. 90s was when this sort of thing started. And then there was a brief window, early mid-2000s, where films were actually just getting good again. Because the 90s were so horrible and people started recognizing it, that good film started to be produced. Because, you know, you can only do so much of that. That people are just not going to want to go see non-stop garbage. But, I don't know if something's happened. We're not getting that point. We're not getting the point where people are sick of it. I don't want to necessarily blame, I guess, like, internet culture and social media, but that is a part of it. Because we've never had this sort of thing before either. We've never had people feeling loyal to these brands in such a way. Nerd culture was not this widespread of a thing. Nor was it... Because the common stereotype at the time of nerd culture, too, was people being overly critical about things, pointing out every little nitpick and flaw. That was the standard at the time. Now the idea of nerd culture is, well, if it's geeky, I gotta like it. So you don't have people questioning any of this either. You have people saying a movie like Ghostbusters is important, everybody has to see it because it's monumental and changing everything about society and is going to help mankind make steps forward. You know, a fucking remake of Ghostbusters is going to be doing that, apparently. Go get your ecto cooler, everybody. That BuzzFeed article. Does anyone remember that? The BuzzFeed article for Ghostbusters, where they were telling you how to go support the movie, and they're saying how you should drink ecto cooler, cheer as loudly as possible when you're within the theater, let people know how proud you are that you're getting to see this movie. It's just like, what the fuck is this? I'm seeing a movie. Why is a website like this telling me how I should feel about it before even going in to see it, and I should pretend to be excited at every given moment, and I should buy all the merchandise? How does that not steer people the wrong way? How do people not see through that? But they get influenced by it. There was so much fan art for that movie and people going crazy about it, and even that too, I heard people saying like, do you really think you're gonna change the world by saying you don't want to go see Ghostbusters? You know what? People don't think they're changing the world by not wanting to go see it. People think that it looks like a bad movie, so they don't want to go see it. Remember that? Remember when that could be a mindset that people could have? That they could recognize that something looks like garbage, so they don't want to give it money? Why do you think you're changing the world by going to see a movie like that? Why do you think you're bettering the world by seeing a movie like that? That's the question. And guess what? The movie came out and everyone completely fell silent and pretended it never happened because it was a bad movie. Then Wonder Woman came out and people acknowledged it again. See? And it's like, okay, where were you when this movie came out? Remember? It came out and nobody liked it? And you all went quiet? And everyone's bringing up the feminist thing in the chat. I don't even care about that. I care that people are just stupid and can be manipulated that easily. Yes, that's the way that's being done right now, is through that kind of thing. That people think that they're being an activist by going to see a fucking massive budget blockbuster like that. Seeing a fucking remake of a comedy movie. Yes, that's what it's being done through, but I don't even care about that whole whatever. That's its own thing. I care that people were stupid enough to fall for that. That's what I'm upset about. There should not be this mentality that people cannot offer criticism, or at least have their own opinion. For example, Ryan didn't enjoy Captain Underpants. I thought it was fun, but even then, I would just say it was like a 6, 7 out of 10 movie. I didn't think it was anything that great, but I had a fun time with it still. Ryan thought it was horrible and was outright offended by it, saying that it was just completely unfunny and was just miserable to sit through. I don't fault him for that, though. That's his own opinion on it. It's interesting having a conversation with someone like that, too. I like sitting down and actually having a conversation about that kind of thing. My biggest problem with that I've realized now is that you usually can't have that kind of conversation with people, because that's what I value most, and it's why I respond to a lot of people, because I want to have discussion. I'm usually interested in that. That's always been a thing with me. I'm interested with people why they feel a certain way when I don't agree with them. I'm interested to see how they usually conjure up those thoughts and opinions. And sometimes it even influences me, because I'll see a different perspective to it and be like, oh, you know what, that actually makes some sense. Never mind. That explains a lot. Maybe I'm the one who's having some flawed thinking on this. But I don't typically get to see that much anymore. I don't get to see that through most people. I just see them blindly eating things up. And just getting mad and saying, well, you're cynical. And it's like, okay, want to have a discussion? Want to go into something? I had that happen earlier. I was talking to one of Julian's friends, and they had a discussion. They wanted to talk about fighting games, and it's like, okay, we can talk about fighting games, I guess, because they really like Smash Brothers, and they wanted to talk about all of that. And they said how, you know, I think a game should be simple to learn, but difficult to master. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. Then they started going into typical 2D fighting games, and they said how the problem with those games is they're very hard to pick up and learn, and once you've learned them, you've already mastered them. And I just immediately said, no, that's completely incorrect. It is an ongoing cycle. The whole point of fighting games, too, the mentality behind them, is that there's no point that you ever master them. There's always going to be somebody better than you, and the whole idea behind them and why people typically don't get into them is because failure is a big part of them. You learn from failure, and you personally achieve satisfaction by learning from failure. So when you finally earn a win, it feels earned, deserved, and you get that satisfaction out of it. And that was why it disappointed me as a discussion, because I was hoping like it would turn into an actual discussion, but it didn't. It just kept going back and forth that I was trying to mention mechanics and everything. I want to go into all of this because I'm at least familiar with all of this. I've played plenty of fighting games. Once upon a time, when I was a little baby boy, I would actually go to events and everything too. And I'm not even the kind of person who's necessarily against Smash Brothers being played a certain way, because there's always that mentality too, like, oh, these aren't real fighting games. And clearly that was not the intent. They were not meant to become a competitive thing. That's never a thing they intended for. But Melee, I've said it a million times, Melee was a happy accident. You actually can get a lot out of that game. And honestly, more power to people who want to make the most of the gameplay within it. I'm fine with that. I've never had issue with it, because you know what? It's a really fun game. You can get a lot out of that game. So I've always been fine with that. I've always had an okay relationship with Melee specifically. I've never had a problem with that. And I'm always fine with 2D fighting games too. I'm open to both ends of it, which is why I thought it'd be an interesting discussion, but it just didn't go anywhere. It just went back and forth, because here's someone who doesn't actually understand what the conversation is about. They don't understand 2D fighting games, but they want to put them down and insist that no, they're bad because I don't know how to do a quarter circle, and after you learn how to do a quarter circle, you know the game and you always win. That was a discussion point too, was what's wrong with being able to win? Because I was saying how you should have to earn the victory. That's where the satisfaction of a fighting game comes from. And they said, well, no, it's fine if a game can, you know, have curveballs like that to allow anybody to win. Well, you know what? That's why you end up with how uninteresting a lot of games have become. By sucking depth out of these games, they don't get to ever be too interesting. It's why you can have an Evo moment like Daigo with Justin Wong. It's why that moment's so iconic, because guess what? Third Strike allows a situation like that to exist. It's the most on edge somebody could be in a fighting game. It's the most tense moment you could ever be set up for. And it was executed so flawlessly too, because at a glance it already looks really intense, but then knowing what goes into it because you've actually played the game makes it that much more intense of a moment. The timing and expertise that was taken for it, everything about that moment. That's why you get a moment like that, and you get something, when you compare that to something like Smash 4, it's just the same routine. It may be interesting the first time around, but you're not going to see it ever get too much out there because the game has simplified itself. That's why Melee can have exciting moments, because Melee was such a wide open game and so easy to exploit and figure out new things for it. Almost anything becomes possible with it. That's why it ends up being a lot more interesting to typically watch, because it allows for so much more. Can you not kill these guys? Guess not. It's how you've ended up games. You've ended up with games like Dive Kick, but guess what? Those games don't last very long because you've seen it. You played a couple times, you get it. That's it. That's your game. It's not very interesting to watch when there's nothing to it. So, and like all this right now, this is why I enjoy having discussion. I like thinking about these sorts of things. And that's the most disappointing thing you can do, is try to engage in a conversation like that, but not actually have anything to say. You already feel one way, and you don't know why necessarily you feel that way. You can't even articulate it. And you're so unwilling to listen that you're not going to even have a talk out of it either. You brought up the conversation because you just want to flaunt your own angle to it. And that was what was disappointing, is that this is someone who doesn't understand fighting games, and I was hoping to at least have a discussion with them. Because on one end, I'm interested, at least, why they feel the way they do with fighting games, but then you just realize, like, oh, this is why this conversation started. This is why we're talking about this, because you just want to put down fighting games, and you want to put down my viewpoint in specific. You don't want to have a talk about it. You don't want to come to understand why I feel the way I do. You just want to put it down. Okay. And that's always sad to me. I see that happen all the time, though. I see that happen all the time with people who... It goes both ways. People who like Smash 4 and hate traditional fighting games, I hear that a lot from them. That's like, well, if you just memorize the combos and know how to do the motions, you win all the time. Okay. That's why you can't do the motions, right? Because it's that simple, right? I hear that a lot too. I hear like, it's arbitrary. And then you'll have them say too, like, well, the hitboxes should perfectly match your character because that's why the games are bad, because of the hitboxes. That's the problem. The hitboxes should perfectly match the character. Not understanding, you know, the reason hitboxes in fighting games sometimes can be strange to look at is because they give certain priority to moves and they allow balancing to be done a certain way. That's why hitboxes like that are created. If you just perfectly match up characters, you're going to have really clumsy gameplay most of the time. There's a reason why that's done. It's not just some arbitrary decision. But you'll have people saying things like that who just don't seem to really understand it. And the reason I bring all of this up is because that's what I've been getting used to. I've had people try to tell me about, like, even just stuff with like Oni plays and everything. I'll say something and then people are like, no, that's not how it is. Excuse me, I'm doing the videos. I'm here in all of it, and I can tell you how it is. And that's always been very strange that people wanna just assume that no, you know what? No, when people are being wide open, telling you everything, that's suspicious. That's not how it is. I bet it's a big conspiracy involving the entire internet, and it goes very deep, and it's something insane and crazy. No, it's just people playing stupid video games. None of this is as interesting as people want it to be. But, I don't know. I get to see that happen with a lot of games, too. It's why the game industry always has disappointed me. Because I've gotten to witness some of these games from the inside. I know people directly who worked on them, or have gotten to see the creative process behind some of them. So I get to know why these games end up in the positions they're in. I'll get to hear from people involved with them, like, yeah, I know what this is not good. I didn't even try with it, but it's what's popular, or like, oh, I had to work this angle in because it's what sells right now, and even though I don't like it, I mean, it worked. I get to hear things like that, and you get to see it, you get to see the success from it, and you get to know, like, great, yeah, that's pretty shitty. But then you get to see everyone on the outside trying to justify it and say, like, no. This is all important, this is all meaningful, all this is... extra credits earlier, I was watching how they did a video analyzing, like, the animations for Overwatch, how they have so much character, because typically games just have a reload animation and you shoot the gun, but Overwatch has a magnificent amount of personality behind those animations. You know what? No, typically they don't stand out much more than shooters that aren't Call of Duty. There's plenty of first-person shooters that also do animations from a first-person perspective. Sometimes even way more than what Overwatch does. You'll see that kind of thing in plenty of games. There's nothing that, like, phenomenal about Overwatch's first-person animations. Nor its voice clips. That's the upsetting part too, is like, well, the voice clips add so much. Overwatch doesn't have that many voice clips. I'm actually astonished how little voice clips there are for something like Overwatch. As much personality as people say the characters within it have. Look at something like Dota 2 if you want to talk about that. Dota 2 has like 40 to 50 minutes of dialogue for some of its characters because not only do they have a lot to say, they will interact with other characters when around them, and they have sometimes multiple lines dedicated to that. So they'll have like 5 or 6 things to say to them when they're just near the character, and then they have multiple lines for like defeating certain characters and everything too. They go above and beyond with that kind of thing. And as much as I hate Valve's practices with that game, I can acknowledge that and say that sort of thing with it. I'm impressed how much they do with that sort of thing. And I would expect that from Overwatch at least, but they don't really do that much with it because they don't necessarily have to. It's Blizzard, so there isn't much risk already because it's Blizzard. And then on top of that, it's just a runaway success. So but seeing videos like that, analyzing it, acting like, see, look at this subtle hand motion is so brilliant, so genius. I'm somebody who loves analysis videos, but good lord, do I hate videos like that where it's trying to make a large discussion out of absolutely nothing because you want to further you want to further justify how you feel about something. You like something, so you're going to go to every little length to insist that it's pure genius, all deliberate, wonderful, beautiful, when a lot of that's not even true. Most of that is not true in a lot of circumstances. Aaron and I feel very similar about Mega Man X. I fucking adore it. It's one of my favorite games. Same with him. And his sequelitis videos, in a lot of ways, yeah, I think it's accurate with Mega Man X, but then there's little things that I do disagree with, like, for example, the title screen having the charge shot saying, like, see, that's to get you familiar with the charge shot. No, it isn't. I'm sorry, Mega Man doesn't actually charge up his shot to shoot the green one out on the title screen. That doesn't convey that you have a charge shot. That was just a fun little touch on the menu. That wasn't done for that purpose. There's quite a bit of that going on in the video to try to make it all seem much more deliberate than it is, and that it's conveying all these mechanics to you when not necessarily, not really. The biggest thing I'd weigh importance on in that opening area is the fact that they have those bee enemies that drop you into a hole. That's the smartest decision, I think, in that opening area, because that forces you to get acquainted with that. The other opening areas in Mega Man X games don't really do that. That game in specific drops you into a hole and doesn't let you out until you figure out that you have. And this is what Melee did too. Melee had the break the targets for Young Link, and you don't realize that there's a wall jump mechanic in Melee until that target test, because you actually need to do it to finish that target test. Which is actually a smart move. That's actually a cool idea. It's smart design in that regard. But I don't fault Aaron for that kind of thing. In little moments I've probably done that sort of thing too, with stuff like Mario 64, acting like, oh, it's... I recognize fully that some of the stuff in Mario 64 is completely not intentional at all. For example, triple jumping to get... Like, if you... Slopes in Mario 64, the way that they function, if it's your first or second jump, as soon as you touch the ground, you'll start sliding. But for whatever reason, your third jump, no matter what slope it is, if you're on any kind of steep slope, your third jump, as soon as you touch the ground, doesn't matter what kind of slope it is, it negates it and lets you just do the triple jump off of it. So you can get up really steep slopes thanks to that, or trick off of certain areas thanks to it, which is really cool, but I don't think that's necessarily intentional. Then there's bugs that are really neat, like, oh, you can catch a bomb, and because it grows when it hits the ground, since you're catching it as it's doing that, it starts pushing you backwards because it's larger than how big it should be. And so if you can catch it at just the right point, my depth perception on this is terrible, by the way. But if you can catch it at just the right point, you go flying backwards and go up slopes and everything. That's very clearly just a bug. That's not like, oh, that's brilliant because you notice that it gets bigger when it hits the ground, so that's like a secret mechanic. No, it's not a secret mechanic, it's a bug. I fully recognize that one. I don't think I've ever said that with it, but I've probably said it sometimes with movement options in Mario 64 as if they're intentional, or like star placement as if they're intentional, like, oh yeah, Nintendo really wanted you to bypass all these stars. Well, they probably didn't. It's a cool thing that you get to, though, and I love that about it. I feel like I'm gonna be missing something in this level. Yep. Sunshine has a more expansive moveset, but in a lot of regards it's also more limited. Just because of how its physics are structured. There we go. But that is a thing that people do a lot when they're discussing games, is you don't get typically objective discussion on it, because if you're trying to say why a game is good, you're not gonna say why there's flaws. You're just gonna say why it's good. And because of that, you get put into a mindset then, like, okay, time for me to praise everything and act like everything's deliberate, even if I don't want to say it like that. My tone and how I've been overall discussing this is going to imply that. If I bring up a fun glitch or something, it's gonna make it sound like, oh yeah, that's part of why the game's so great, because there's a bug that's game breaking. I love that sort of thing, but that isn't necessarily like wonderful design or intentional design. It's just a fun quirk of the game's design that I happen to appreciate. But if you're doing like an analysis video like that, for example, you're going to get caught in situations like that if that's what the video is meant to be. That's why something like Matthew Matosis, even though he does do that with his videos, that kind of structure is better, where you're not going in like, why Mario 64 is incredible, or why Mario 64 sucks. Just, why Mario 64? Just talking about it for what it is. That's the best way to do a discussion piece, because then you can weigh in both things that work and don't work about it. I've always said this, I love that game to death, it's one of my favorites. Even I still have faults with it. Its camera can be really awkward at points and get really frustrating. I kind of hate the slowdown in some areas. It's always underwater areas that I hate it, because Mario, it's a specific pattern you need to tap with A if you want to swim as fast as possible. And it's very irritating because if the game slows down, you can't actually tap that pattern the way that you want to. You need to adjust to areas that are going to have slowdown so you can swim the fastest possible despite the slowdown. Things like that. But I can still look past any little shortcomings like that just for everything it does so right. Because I'm not going to ever really see another game have movement just as satisfying as something like Mario 64. I wonder if this is a pit. It probably is. Considering that there's no geometry there, I'm going to say this is a pit. Hey, I'll say this. Skyward Sword, as much as people hate it, I do think some ideas in it are still welcome ideas for a Zelda game. Overall, I do not think it's a very good game, by any stretch, but I think that there's some ideas within that game that actually work okay. I also remember Aaron brought up like the bomb bowling thing. I never actually had an issue with that one. You got me there. I don't know what that one was supposed to be about. I think it's just one of those things where you didn't get familiarized with the mechanic, so you feel like everyone had the same experience when they didn't. Did I not come to this area when I played this level the first time? Was I a dummy? Even though the motion controls stink for most people in Skyward Sword, and believe me, I'd much rather just have responsive controls as opposed to a gimmick like that. One, I actually don't fault Nintendo for that one. I fault everybody else because I know why they did that. I know why they did the stupid motion gimmick. Because when Twilight Princess came out on Wii, everyone was saying that. They said, man, it sucks that you can't just swipe around the Wii remote like a sword. Wouldn't that be cool? Actual sword play? Well, you got your wish, people. Hope you're happy. That's why they did that. But the high-low system for it and everything, I'm actually completely open to that. I'm fine for that. That's a cool idea for combat. They wanted to expand on things with combat. I would have been more than happy if they did more with that with 3D Zelda games. If they added more onto the combat, had you really read enemies. I don't think it's quite as simple as some people say though in like Ocarina of Time, saying like, oh, there's nothing to it, you just wait. That's not necessarily true. There's actually lots of different things you can do within combat situations in Ocarina of Time. Plenty of items have synergy with enemies, so you can you throw a Deku Nut down to stun an enemy and get a free opening on them, things like that. There's plenty there to take advantage of within combat. It's not just waiting. There's a lot you can do. It's not just waiting in that game. But I'd like for more. I'd like for there to be more to the combat than that. Wind Waker was actually making some good steps towards that. Twilight Princess had some okay ideas here and there. I think Skyward Sword actually had some neat stuff going though, and some of its boss fights actually had cool ideas here and there. Too bad it's motion control and there's natural delay on everything. Upgrading your items and everything too, like that's cool. I'm fine with that. They had okay ideas here and there with it. It's just that because overall it ended up as kind of a mess, people just want to fault everything that's in that game. And that's always the wrong way to look at things, because if something bad happens to do something really good that no one else has ever done because they were just using a game to experiment, well, guess what? That cool thing that could have been expanded upon and worked into something great never gets to happen now, because people are just going to put this down and say, no, it belongs to this, so it's a bad idea no matter what. It's what upsets me about games like God Hand not getting any praise when it came out, despite having so many good ideas. Yes, it's awkward because it's different. Yes, it's a very different game in that regard. You don't get camera control. For some reason, it's tank controls. What? Why is it tank controls? Haven't we moved beyond tank controls? Why is this 3D beat 'em up having... Why is there tank controls? What? There's no lock-on function? Why? Why is this other stick being used for dodging? That could have been the camera. Well, guess what? Turns out you don't need any of that. Turns out the game actually plays pretty great without any of that, and because they took advantage of the full controller in the way that they did, you get a ton out of the combat. How about that? You can actually get something pretty incredible from that. But nothing gets to really come from that, because people didn't like that it was different. And since it has this reputation, the whole game is bad. How about that? People really love failure now, too. As much as people put down anyone else for making criticisms, they do also love failure. So if something is a train wreck, they go all in on that. Everything's one way or the other. God forbid anyone's ever in the middle on anything at this point. Go back up. You can't fly backwards on this stage, huh? So I gotta kill myself. There's gotta be a way to go back. Is there really no way to steer back? Guess not. Okay. Well, I know now. So I just gotta mash B if I want to stay in place. A boost forward. Okay, I got it. I'll also say this, I hate when people put things down just based on, like, a genre alone. Because, you know, I wasn't expecting much of Shovel Knight, but it was a fantastic little game. I had a very good time with Shovel Knight, and plenty of other people had a very good time with Shovel Knight. But there is still the mentality of, oh, it's just a stupid pixel 2D platformer. Guess what? You can do that well. I think I was even caught in that mindset for a while, because typically indie games, people were not trying with that sort of thing. But you know what? You can do that well. You can make a good 2D platformer still. That can be done just fine. You shouldn't just dismiss something because of the genre it is, because of an art style or something like that. You can still get something good out of it. I was, even though I was very in the middle with the Scott Pilgrim game, and I hate the source material more than anything, I loathe the Scott Pilgrim comics. I really did not enjoy them. I still could look beyond that because I really enjoy the soundtrack. As broken as the game is, there was still some cool stuff there. I wish it was a better game overall, but still, I ended up having fun with it. I was able to look beyond some of those things that should have technically just kept me out because I hated so much about it coming in. But most people can't do that kind of thing. This is one of those kinds of levels where they actually let you have some leniency how many points you need to score. Feels like it might be. So I missed one of the things at the beginning. Oh, did it leave? Yeah, it did. I'm not gonna put down a game just because it's a 2D platformer. That's stupid to do. Gonna put it down if it just doesn't look like a good game. I find it weird that people will do that. Like they'll just shit on something for the genre in specific. I'm embarrassed to admit this one though. The Mario and Rabbids game, as stupid of an idea as that is, I hate it for so many reasons. I will say that the gameplay itself actually looks a little bit entertaining. It's also completely unfitting. I have no idea why they decided on that. It's a kids game. Kids aren't gonna want to play an RTS. Not RTS, it's not real time. But I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say whatever, action strategy game. Whatever, I'm a Nimrod. I fumbled my words. Point is though, What the fuck is that? Why is that the decision they made? If anything, you'd think like I thought it was gonna be a Skylanders game or something. I thought it was gonna be a stupid, dumb game like that, because that's what kids would eat up. Why is it a... what the fuck? An interactable environment, destructible terrains and everything? What the fuck? That's the game that they decided on? I do not get it at all. And it's probably not going to help it either with kids, but... the gameplay in it doesn't look terrible. It looks like it'd actually be a little bit of fun. It's just unfortunate what the material is that it happens to be based on. Yes, this level was very forgiving. Oh, that's how you check how many lives you have. Okay. I forgot what those little glitter sphere things, I forget what those are. Pretty sure I can't get up there from here. It's probably like a teleporter or something I'm supposed to use. Oh. Oh, he was a living tree man all along. How cute. Get out of here. Do you have enough invincibility time? I'm a dummy. I didn't pay attention that he has green on top of his head. Yes, I saw Star Fox 2 was on the Super Nintendo Classic. I also know they're going to discontinue it right away. And it's going to go for ridiculous prices, and you're probably not going to be able to pre-order or get one. So, yeah, good luck with that. I'm fine with my setup now. I don't need a shitty thing like that. Imagine if they put Mother 3 on it. That's not a Super Nintendo game. So yeah, imagine that. That'd be... that wouldn't make any sense now, would it? Can I use these to get like a boost? Yes, but also no. So I need to go up there. Use the spring to get up there, I'm guessing. Yep. I mean, I'm gonna guess the Star Fox 2 ROM that they're using anyways is just the one that's already out there. The game was essentially done. Don't be a bully. I can make jokes. I'm allowed to make jokes. Get over it. Oh. The white one's a good one. Now Polygon will write an article about how this game's trying to send messages and create racial tensions. Whoops. There we go. This is kind of hard to gauge, but I'm lined up. I got it. Did I get everything though? I feel like there's more somewhere. It's a weird... What do you think of MOBA games? I think I've talked about this plenty. For one, I don't like the term MOBA because that was coined by the stupid League of Legends team because they didn't want to acknowledge Dota anymore when they had competition through Dota 2. Look at their website through Wayback Machine. You can see all the mention of the original Dota, and then how they went and wiped that all when Dota 2 got announced, because they can't be messing with their competitors. So, oh, it's a genre now, guys. It's like when people are making Minecraft clones. It's a genre now, guys. No, it isn't. You're just making a Minecraft clone. Becomes a genre when everybody is just doing the same thing over and over again, I guess. But no one has really taken as much as there's been attempts at trying to do fresh takes with it, but usually no one can get it working because it's already a very experimental kind of genre anyways. A game like Dota is probably never going to achieve good balance because that's not what they focus on whenever they're patching it. A lot of its gameplay decisions and everything, we're not going to know for probably like 10-20 years if all this seriously is the best for that kind of genre. It's I enjoyed Dota 2 for a while. I don't necessarily hate the idea of MOBAs, but typically they're being done just to grab money as opposed to go for depth, complexity, any of that. And that's what I enjoy about it. I don't enjoy League of Legends because they strip all that away. They've simplified it because that's the whole point. They want anyone to be able to just hop in for 20 minutes, kill some time, feed them some money for whatever, because you don't even have all the heroes unlocked. I'm sorry, champions. Gotta change all the terms around too. That way you don't look like you're just copying another game. But, I don't know. I hate how Valve has been supporting Dota 2. I've talked about that more than enough. Seems like levels where you have a chance to miss killing something, they go more lenient with the score you need to get a 5. Oh, is there someone in the chat who's spamming? I can suspend them. Hang on. Is that what that is? Oh boy, yeah. Hope that doesn't screw things over. Is that someone spamming in the chat? It doesn't look like they're posting it more than once. Looks like it was just a one-time thing. I'm not gonna ban someone because they posted a video link. There we go. Look, it's Geodude. The song became a meme, right? What does that even mean? Yeah, just like how the Mario Brothers theme song became a meme, I guess. People like the song a lot. Namely because this is one of the only songs in this game that sounds like more traditional game music. The rest is a more intense electronic sound, which people don't seem to like, even though I like some of those songs. But this is the one song people... Because people always say like they like this game's soundtrack a lot, but they only talk about this song. Oh boy. You get. Oh, I missed him. I hope those don't count towards the thing. It'd be very, very cruel if they expected me to kill all of these before it's too late. I notice you're a lot more chill here. Do you find it hard to keep up energy during Oni plays? I only find it hard because sometimes nobody's interested in what we're playing. Typically with a lot of games, that's how it goes. I'm usually the one interested. I missed him too. These guys are hard to catch. Okay, there's an invisible wall there so I can go back. Oh, they respawn. That's nice of them. So I need to go back and try to catch those guys that I missed. Oh. It's cause obviously Only plays that's what we're doing. We're trying to just goof around and make each other laugh and everything. During a stream, I'm just gonna be playing games and talking. That's all it really is. This one's not respawning for some reason. Hate these rocks. They're not spawning in very nice places. So where's that one that I missed at the start? Oh boy. We're probably never going to play Killer 7. I'd love to play Killer 7. It's just not a thing that's probably going to ever happen. 1, nobody would probably care for it. 2, I'm sure Chris would not care for it. It's going to be too out there for him. Killer 7's alright, but I think it was overhyped. What hype? It wasn't hype. What are you talking about? Is there hype for it that I didn't know about? Because pretty sure it wasn't that big of a deal when it came out. The only thing I remember from it was that there's controversy with Jack Thompson over it. That was it. Do I go through here to get up there? Maybe some way to get in there. Well, that's not how you do it. When you say hype, do you just mean the fact that it has like a reputation for people now, that they like it a lot? Because I mean, I'm in that party. I like a lot about it. But the part that you take from it isn't the gameplay, it's everything else. That's what makes it enjoyable. Sometimes there can be games just like that. I'd say those are harder to justify though. Oh, well, you know. I'm probably missing 50 points from something. So usually these levels have set amounts in mind. Can I just walk across the slope? Yes, I can. Oh. Oops. I doubt they want me to do that. Maybe that's what they want. It'd be very weird if they expected that from me. It really would be. They don't expect that, do they? That I just repeatedly grab this ledge? Oh, you just jump over and over. No, they probably did expect that. Man, Piano 3... Is that how you even say it? Isn't it like project number? Whatever that game is. However you would want to say its title. They actually did have some really cool ideas. I should have gotten the heart. That game actually had really cool ideas, and it's too bad it's kind of like... I don't even want to call it a tech demo. It's like they had an idea for a game, and they just didn't have time for it, so they set the gameplay up, an engine and everything, and just didn't get to make the most of it. Because it was a cool idea for a game. It was fun. It's too bad there wasn't much to it. I'm okay with taking the hit, as long as I kill the knife guy. Well, that rock caught my bomb. I'm surprised to hear, though, that people think 64 is a bad game. I know I talked about this already, but I really like Bomberman 64 a lot. I was surprised to find out that so many people apparently hate it and just consider it bad. Like, flat out bad. That's what's weird to me. I could understand maybe not liking it, but not just saying like, oh, objectively it's a bad game. What about it? What makes it like a bad game? Apparently a lot of people just got stuck in it, which, fair enough. I remember the first time I rented it as a kid, I got stuck. In fact, I remember the reason I had it was because in high school, one of my friends lent me his copy because he's like, yeah, I was never able to beat this when I was younger. And I told him like, oh, do you want me to like get you further in it? And he was like, oh yeah, because I want to play it again. It was a very common same with Diddy Kong Racing though, I remember. People didn't get very far in that either because it was so hard and unforgiving. Despite being a kid's game. Do you prefer 64 to Hero? I might. I'm not sure. I'm just surprised by that also because people will say like, I think even Aaron told me that. He's like, oh, you should play Hero. Hero's the good one. And I was surprised by that because Hero's a fun game, but Hero's also just a very standard platformer. There isn't much to it. So I'm surprised that that's like the common recommendations. Like, oh, if you're going to play a Bomberman on N64, gotta play Hero. 64 sucks. 64 is fine. 64 is really cool because it has bomb jumping, which I love about it. That's my favorite thing about it, is bomb jumping. Having to think of solutions to puzzles with bomb jumping is so much fun. And it's tricky too, it's hard to get good timing down for it. I love it. It has a 4-player mode and everything too. And even though it's not traditional Bomberman because it's spherical explosions, which by the way, look at this game. I've still had a lot of fun with 64, I like it a lot. Second Attack I need to play more of though, because I only got to play it a little bit. Yeah, this level is very generous because of the knife enemies. Here's this guy. But Japan even got a Bomberman game on N64 that we didn't get, that is just traditional 2D Bomberman. So if you actually want to recommend like a multiplayer Bomberman to somebody on N64, that's the one that you would recommend. Look how cool this guy is. How stupid of me. You know what? Does it even matter? Let's get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. So he takes more than 5 hits. I was hoping he was just going to take 5 hits so I could just lose all my health to kill him as fast as possible, but I guess not. There we go. Just leave a bunch of these for him. Because as you can see, the timer's ticking away here. How are none of these hitting? I think I blew it. Because you need 750, don't you? Not 750. 7,500, I think you need. Good thing his death animation's longer. I thought I had more lives. Oh well. It's not like it matters. Oh, it does matter. I think it takes my health upgrades away, doesn't it? Yep. This is actually easier with the smaller blast. I can just shove it in his face and run away. Oh, come on. Can't line these up right. This camera's looking at him. Yep, he's dead. That was easier because of that. Oh, he's not dead. I thought he was dead. He looked dead. Why aren't you dead? Get out of here. Well, now we're both dead. Come on. There we go, it's one. I remember I had a friend over and I pretended that this game was multiplayer and I picked this. He thought he was playing, you just hand him the controller. Because you rent the new game and you want to play it. Is he dead now? Yep. Is that enough for it? Oh, yeah, 7,000. I didn't have to kill myself the first time. I could have just kept my health upgrades, oh well. It's me, R2D2. Okay. Clown Valley. What? See, this is my favorite song. We always, This is Zip, right? And Redial's the one everybody knows. Zip is the best song. This is the best one. Yeah, that frame rate. Oh, he's fucking dead. Oh. Huh. There's only one left. What's the one song that sounds like elevator music? I actually like that one a lot. There's the one that plays on the that one stage where there's no gravity. I like that one. It's too bad my health because, yep, I was good to call that out. I knew it was gonna happen. Having low health on a level like this means a cheap shot's gonna get me, and it did. Anyways, I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick. I'll be right back. Also, to whoever asked that, I'll give you an answer about it when I get back. Where's the cookies? No. Julian had a bunch of goldfish I didn't know about. Okay. Okay, so anyways, in terms of upcoming releases, Sonic Mania, I'm really looking forward to. And I said it before, but the Dragon Ball Z game I'm really looking forward to, which is next year. I think that's it. I mean, I'll fully admit too, because people get upset about that kind of thing. They're like, "What? Why aren't you playing lots and lots of new games?" Because most new games just don't interest me. The kinds of games that I typically like are not what are going to be coming out anymore. So I don't typically have that many interests. Oh, the fuck? Did he throw a knife? What an asshole. No Mario Odyssey? I'm interested in playing it. I'm not... And believe me too, I should be the kind of person who's like crazy excited because I love Mario 64 so much, but from what I saw, I'm just kind of in the middle with it. I think it'll be fun. I'm not exactly excited. I think it'll just be fun. It takes 2 hits if you knock him off the ball. What else is coming out soon? Oh no, never mind, he takes 2 hits no matter what. Oh yeah, Iconoclast comes out this year. Thank you, I actually forgot about that. I do want to play that. Part of the reason I forgot about that is because no one will talk about that game, because I even remember while it was being developed, it appeared at the Indie Game Festival, and nobody really voted for it or acknowledged it. And I remember a friend of mine who was on the panel for it told me the reason that games like that did not get any attention at the Indie Game Festival was because one, they would give a huge list of games to the people voting there, so typically what ended up happening is no one would play almost any of them. They would just vote for the ones that they already recognized. But then two, it's because they want to maintain a specific image of what they think indie games should be, so people who are talented and capable enough and potentially have like connections and everything, they wanted to keep out. And people who would not have that kind of thing, someone who would not have the kind of talent to put together something really polished and be able to get work at studios and everything, those were the kind of people they wanted to prioritize, which is very shitty, because that means something that's actually really good and high quality, they would go out of their way to ignore. And that's why you end up with a situation like the Iconoclast, where it's a really promising looking game, it's really nice to look at, a lot of time's gone into it, I really want to play it, but I know it's going to be an Owlboy situation where no one is going to talk about it. And nobody has been talking about it. I almost just forgot completely that it was coming out soon. Is this 3,000 points? Yes, it is. Is it right or someone says, is it right or wrong to use 64 as a standard? The reason I like Mario 64 so much is because of the movement. That's all it is. It's why something like Galaxy, while I still had fun with it, I would not want to play it over 64. The movement in 64 is why I play that game. being able to find shortcuts and just new tricks that you can do, that's why I come back to it. There's always something to come back for. There's always something new you learn about it. That's the reason I enjoy it so much. And you don't get that out of a lot of Mario games, and that's why Galaxy I wasn't the biggest on compared to 64, because they stripped it down a lot. They simplified it a lot. It's still a fun game. I still like it a lot, but it's just not the same kind of thing as 64. That was close. You gonna burp? Whatever that's supposed to be. Oh man, Peony Poo. I really want to go back to Chicago soon. When we were in Arizona, we went to a little place that was what's it called? I think it was just called Chicago's or something. It was just a little place where they had just Chicago-style food. So you had like hot dogs, burgers, and everything there. Where they'd use have Vienna beef. You got your little poppy seed hot dog buns. They'd drown it in relish, tomato, pickle, all the good stuff. Oh my god. Sharp cheddar on their burgers and everything too. Sharp cheddar melted on top of fries and chili and everything. It was so good. It was such a good restaurant. And it made me forget, like, oh yeah, this is just Chicago food. I forgot. Because when you're living there, you don't think of it as anything special. You just think like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just junk food. It's nothing special. But I guess it is special because no one else really does food like that.